welcome to our second week in technology, ethics and law. And so before we do too much, I just want to give you a bit of an overview about what it is that we'll be covering today, and then we'll separate it out into some smaller sections. So before we get started, there is quite a lot of reading, and by reading I mean 4 different chapters in a book and 1 video that is required reading, and then there are 2 other videos on the platform which together will take quite a bit of time. So you're looking at a solid 4 or 5 hours worth of reading for this subject for this week, so not for the faint-hearted. A couple of overlaps with some of these materials. In particular, Legg and Bell and Turner cover substantially similar material. So if you're in a position where you're making choice between one or the other, they do cover them in different ways, but it would be worth, if you do have to make that decision, picking one of them and doing a deep dive, that would be better than trying to skim over the top of both of them. Would probably be a really good idea to pair yourself up with somebody in the class, somebody perhaps that you've met in the tutes, divide and conquer a little bit. There's nothing like explaining what you've learned to somebody else to consolidate your own learning. So if you were to find somebody else and then take one of you take the Legg and Bell, the other one take the Turner material, you might find that if you take good notes, if you explain to each other, you'll have a really rich conversation because, as I said, there's an overlap, but they do take slightly different approaches. Turner is really talking about AI and the way AI should be regulated. So by AI, I mean artificial intelligence, where Legg and Bell is really focusing more on how AI might disrupt the legal profession in particular. Most of the lecture content is going to focus on the Susskind reading. That's particularly important, and it really sets the base for a number of themes that we're going to keep coming back to as we work through the material. So that is absolutely critical, and it in turn is matched by another video, again with, it's less than half an hour, but with Richard Susskind really talking about the content of, well, really decades of research now, which I think you'll find really useful. So last thing in this little video is I just want to talk about what the 3 videos or the 3 separate sections are that I am going to prepare. I haven't actually recorded them yet, but this is what the plan is. I want to have a bit of a brief video on some of the key terminology that's going to be coming up over and over again as we deal with some of these technology issues and with practice issues generally. That should be a relatively quick video, and the plan is it's something you can come back to if you need to. I'm then going to spend probably the longest of the videos will be me talking about, I'm calling it looking into the future, which is really working through the chapter that you've been asked to read in Tomorrow's Lawyers and drawing significantly again from the other materials that you've been asked to read, but also Richard Susskind's broader research and observations that I've made over time in practice, but also generally other academics have made as we try and work out what the future holds. I mean, I can tell you one thing for sure about the future. It's going to be different from today. And the other thing I can tell you with almost as much certainty is that it's not going to be exactly what we predict. And then in the last video, my focus will be on artificial intelligence, what it is, and why that is of particular interest to the legal community. And by talking through these things, and in particular thinking about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, I think will set you up in a good way to move forward on that discussion assignment that you need to do. As always, if you have questions, concerns, frustrations, or even compliments, feel free to put them in the discussion area in Canvas for this week. If you have concerns about anything, don't hesitate to contact me. But first port of call always should be to raise them in the tutes. Have a great week, and I'm very much looking forward to working through this material, so I hope you are too.